Another AliExpress sale, but this time it whispers those 3 special words that any work-from-home dad wants to hear. Back to school. So here's a list of watches that have caught my eye in the AliExpress Back to School sale. If you know me, you'll know I love a bit of a bonkers watch, which is why I've always had a bit of a thing for the Coram bubble. But if you also know me, you'll know I'm a cheapskate. And there's no way I'm spunking a serious wedge on something that looks like it escaped from a lab. And pronunciation experts avert your ears, because AliExpress brand Café might have an answer to my bonkers watch on a budget question with their take on the bubble watch. What you get is a case as mad as the design itself, a hulking 46mm slab of stainless steel, 40mm thick, offered in polished steel, black PVD or gold coating for the brave. Water resistance is a token 50 metres, and inside ticks a Japanese automatic, almost certainly a budget Miyota 8000 series. But let's be real, no one's here for the movement, because this thing isn't about the specs. It's all about the dial and that ridiculous bubble crystal. Mineral, of course, but what did you expect from budget AliExpress? The dials, though, completely deranged. You can pick from freaky eyeballs, nightmare clowns who shouldn't be within a mile of a school, or Salvador Dali reimagined as an astronaut for reasons. Basically, there's a dial for everyone, provided everyone is a psychopath. And all this chaos will only set you back around £66 before coupons. Honestly, you won't find a watch that starts more conversations or clears a room faster for less. I like Millie Foritch, both the brand and the watches they're producing. A clean, simple but historic looking logo type and a name that feels 90% European with enough of that Chinese twang to make it a little more interesting. And this new R088 jumping hour might just be the best they've done so far. A minimalist period piece with plenty of squint your eyes, and it could be a Nomos Bauhaus inspired design. It's got symmetry, style and a decent helping of charm. On the spec sheet, a 38mm brushed stainless steel case, only 11mm thick, with a 46mm lug-to-lug, a sapphire crystal with AR coating, 100 metres water resistance and a leather strap that looks far better than the usual AliExpress afterthought. Inside is the Seagull ST17 automatic movement, with a jumping hour module stacked on top. The dial keeps it simple but sharp, applied numerals, a beveled jumping hour window at 12, running seconds at 6 and a polished minute hand on the centre pinion, complete with a capped pinion hole, which at this price feels like it's showing off. And then there's that turquoise dial, genuinely one of the nicest shades I've seen on anything sub £500, let alone the £103 before coupon price tag. A beautiful watch, an interesting complication and finishing that looks far better than the asking price suggests. This one has AliExpress banger written all over it. AliExpress brands have been on a 3D dial arms race this past year, each one carving, stamping and texturing like their lives depended on it. But Watchdives may have just dropped the final boss of 3D textured dials with the WD-0005B. They call it cracked ice, but personally, the purple version looks like someone split open a volcanic boulder to reveal a hoard of amethyst quartz inside. Add the smoky fume fade at the edges and you've got something properly hypnotic. Stare too long and before you know it, you'll have all 3 versions in your cart. The specs are as solid as the dial is dramatic. 39mm brushed stainless steel case with polished bevels, 12.4mm thick, 45.5mm lug-to-lug, a domed sapphire crystal with clear AR coating, BGW9 loom on the markers and hands, screw-down crown and case pack for 100 metres of water resistance, and the old faithful NH35 ticking away inside. Yes, it leaves the dreaded ghost date position, but Watchdives swears it's just a supply issue, so fingers crossed for an NH38 swap down the line. And credit where it's due, Watchdives have earned a reputation for finishing that punches well above their weight. At £173 before coupons, it's not bargain bin cheap, but look into the dial long enough and you'll happily justify the buy yourself. Sometimes I think I'm the only person who actually likes the Rolex Land Dweller. But then I see the scalper prices for them on reseller sites, and remember, I'm also one missed mortgage payment away from explaining squatting rights to my kids. So let's be real, I'm never buying one. But along comes Specttona to save the day, swooping in with a budget homage to scratch that itch while keeping me safely indoors. From the press shots, it's all ticking the right Land Dweller boxes. An integrated bracelet that mixes sporty brushing with shiny mid-links, a geometric dial texture that actually looks more decent than it has any right to be, and a fluted bezel sharp enough to slice through a cucumber in a pinch. Specs are fine. A 37mm stainless steel case, 11mm thick, 45mm lug-to-lug, though, as with every integrated bracelet watch, lug-to-lug numbers are basically creative writing. Inside, a Miyota 8215 automatic movement. On top, a sapphire crystal, and protecting the lot, a mighty 50 metres water resistance. So yes, you can wash your hands, but make sure you dry them quickly. It's not spec heavy, and it doesn't pretend to be. But honestly, at £96 before coupons, it might be the most sensible way to live out your Land Dweller fantasy without getting mugged outside Greggs on Leicester Square. Let's pause the review because it's giveaway time. I'm giving away this stunning Wellim Mk WM226 when the channel hits 7,500 subscribers. To find out how to enter, click the link in the description. If you want even more chances to snag watches, I run a members only giveaway. That's where I give away all the other review pieces I get sent, as well as early access to videos, exclusive content, and a good old chinwag in the members posts. Fancy a shot at winning multiple watches every month? Just tap that join button below or hit the link in the description. The money from the members goes directly to the cost of getting the watches to winners. The next giveaway for the Sega Design Z series will be drawn on Friday the 22nd of August, so get in fast for a chance to win. Alright, marketing spiel over, let's get back to the video. I featured this watch in a previous AliExpress sale, but it still feels relevant today. Though annoyingly, it's crept up by £3 or £4. But that's the price we pay for governments printing monopoly money today and letting our kids sort it out tomorrow. The Rudland Retro Skin Diver takes its charm straight from the 1960s Omega Seamaster, dragged straight into the 21st century with modern, reliable parts and manufacturing practices. But it does away with one thing that will split the audience in half. One saying it'll add to the warm nostalgia of retro 60s design as it ages, the other half saying they've just done it for cost cutting. A mineral crystal. Personally, I'd prefer a sapphire, but I have a collection large enough that it'll be worn so little that it'll take longer than I have left to show any signs of wear. Your situation may vary. But the rest of the watch just oozes character. 2 colour variants, including a brown dial and bezel, which feels like it's pulled straight out of a family photo album, back when everyone lived in sepia tones, chain smoked indoors, and thought asbestos was a miracle material. Specs-wise, you're looking at a 41mm stainless steel case with those classic Omega-style inverted lugs, 12.5mm thick and a compact 47.5mm lug-to-lug. A screw-down crown and caseback give 200 metres of water resistance, all protecting the trusty NH35. Loom is a cocktail of BGW9 and C3, printed on the dial and applied to the hands. It ships on a brown suede strap with a bonus NATO thrown in for good measure. And at £108 before coupons, it's a sharp-looking retro diver that nails the aesthetic without rinsing your wallet. Now, I won't claim to be a Yilang scholar, though I've seen them lurking all over AliExpress for years, quietly doing their own thing, but if there's one thing I like, it's straight-to-the-point marketing. So the Yilang Man 3i 6-needle quartz watch has me hooked and reeled in. What is it? A chunky, sporty, quartz-powered chronograph pilot's watch, complete with a tritium-tubed loomed dial, pure, unapologetic masculinity, 4 bold textured dial options, contrasting octagonal chronograph subdials, and enough sword-style hands and oversized onion crown charm to make a mid-century pilot nod in approval. Modern, tough, and somehow still nostalgic. The specs include a 42mm brushed stainless steel case, 12mm thick, topped with a top hat sapphire crystal. The screw-down crown and caseback give 100 metres water resistance. Inside ticks a Miyota OS00 quartz chronograph movement, and the piece de resistance, 12 tritium tubes on the hour markers, plus one on each hand, giving you a steady glow day or night. And with a title like Yilang Man 3i 6-needle quartz watch, I fully expected my wallet to scream. But at £90 before coupons, it feels like it could be a bargain, and yes, you can stop clutching at your pearls now. It feels like Addis release a new watch every 3.5 minutes. Honestly, scroll AliExpress long enough and you'll start to wonder if you're not looking at listings, but they've accidentally added 3 zeros to their targeted ad budget. But credit where it's due, they mostly nail it. You know exactly what you're getting. A budget watch with solid specs and just enough personality to keep things interesting. And the new AD2514 is no different. On paper, it's a classic subby-style diver, but with a bit of a twist. You're looking at a 41mm brushed stainless steel case, 13mm thick, 48mm lug-to-lug, paired with a brushed and polished oyster-style bracelet. It's packing 200 metres of water resistance, a mineral crystal and a Japanese quartz movement. So where does it stand out? That dial. A nicely executed 3D wave pattern, Dauphine-style hands and big applied markers, absolutely stuffed with BGW9 lume. Add in a ceramic bezel with lume film markers and you've got the recipe for a proper torch on the wrist. Knowing Addis, this one should glow up well enough to get you reported to the Civil Aviation Authority. And then you've got the choice of orange, green or red chapter rings. Small detail, but it makes the whole thing feel a touch more personal. All that for £46 before coupons. At that price, you could almost accidentally order 2 and not notice until they arrive. And with a bit of luck, I'll have one in hand soon to see if it lives up to the drama. So, another AliExpress sale, another time to roll out this bargain. Again. Cadison's latest lunar pilot has clearly studied the moon swatch, then decided to do everything it didn't. Stainless steel case instead of plastic, or bioceramic, if you like euphemisms, or, as we used to say, alright mate, if you say so. 40mm across, 47mm lug-to-lug, 12mm thick, sleek, compact, and apparently substantial enough to feel like an actual watch rather than a prop. Under the hood it runs a Seiko VK68 Mecha Quartz movement. Mineral crystal adds a touch of durability, another step above Swatch's optimistic fragility. No Omega branding, because really, that's the only reason anyone still cares about the original. Here, you're getting better materials, a more considered design, and a price that barely qualifies as a rounding error. At £27 before coupons, it's tempting to preemptively declare it a bargain, purely based on specs and photos. Cadison may have hit something quietly impressive here, and it's entirely possible that this one will make you question why you ever thought plastic was acceptable. I love a good world timer, but proper world timers are for the people that snare at lowlives that fly in first class. But fear not, because Wellim Mk has a viable answer. A watch that looks like a world timer, but without the guts of a true world timer, and without the servicing costs of a true world timer. This one's from their back catalogue, so temper your expectations. But it still has enough flair to make me consider clicking add to basket. At first glance, the dial looks like Wellim Mk raided a cartographer's office, knocked over a few ink pots and thought, yep, that's a watch. Rings, a tiny map at the centre, and enough city names to make you wonder if you needed a boarding pass for each hour. And the best thing, it glows. And I mean, all of it. Under the theatrics, you get in a 41mm brushed stainless steel case, 49mm lug-to-lug, 12mm thick, with a sapphire crystal, screw-down crown and caseback, 100 metres of water resistance, and a reliable but totally anonymous Miyota 8125 movement. Nothing shocking, but solid. Oh, and just one quirk. Half the press shots feature the Wellim Mk logo type on the dial, half don't. So if this interests you, maybe confirm with the seller that you'll be supplied with the correct no-word version before hitting buy. And at only £80 before coupons, not a fully fledged world timer, but the originality alone makes this a worthy option. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.